Hello everyone, LRon here with part 56 of my Total Terraria World Annihilation. Um, so I have finished off Fallout New Vegas a couple days ago. I guess I technically beat it in like a week or two prior, but I did go back to previous loads and do the alternate endings and pick up all the straggling achievements that I didn't get previously. So I have, at this point, 100%ed the game. At this point, I'm not going to really spoil anything anymore, because all the exciting stuff to spoil has already been spoiled in previous videos. But I will weigh in and say that I like the Yes Man ending better than the other three endings. I think that should be a generic enough statement to merit not putting a spoiler tag there. Of course, that's primarily because of what I said before in the spoiler stuff about what another group wanted me to do. Apparently, every other group wants me to do that same thing, and I don't like that, and so I consider Yes Man to be the only solution that I, in real life, would actually choose if I were actually a Wastelander in the Mojave. So then I moved on to Shadows of Colossus. That was the game that I was in the middle of when I went on a hiatus and started playing Fallout New Vegas. So technically I had a hiatusception because I was 5 Colossi into Shadows of Colossus when I went and started playing New Vegas. And then I was, 100 hours into New Vegas when I got stuck into playing Here's the Storm for essentially a month. Speaking of Here's the Storm, this is a particularly short cohort, and actually the last video of the cohort was going to be extremely short, so I put in something to fill in the gap a bit. So, like, the first little bit is a couple screenshots of people recognizing my name in Here's the Storm. Sadly, they weren't recognizing me as the YouTuber. They were they recognized me for other reasons. And then, as the grand finale to finish it off, we had a 2-minute 15-second game, and so I put that match in because that is lightning fast, and seems like it'd be entertaining to see something go that fast. So that's going to be something to look forward to in part 59. And if you don't like that Here's the Storm stuff, don't worry, because that is literally all the content that I had at this point that I wanted to post, and I frankly don't want to play until June, or sometime way far out. So I physically could not post any more videos that have any form of Heroes of the Storm at that point, aside from just me talking about it, but I doubt I'll have any reason to talk about it at that point, or at this point after the cohort. So I forget at this point if I discussed much about Shadows of Colossus in my previous cohort. It is an obnoxious game. I'll pretty much summarize it that way. It's 100% boss fights and manually crossing a huge world without any form of fast travel, just a hard to control horse that frankly half the time feels like you're better off on foot anyways. So it definitely stood to get a lot more polished than it did. Supposedly it was a port from a PS2 game, so standards were lower in PS2 days, but they shouldn't have been that low. And then for these boss fights, there's 16 of them, and I probably enjoyed fighting maybe a third of them. The rest were either an extreme chore to do, or, it took an hour to figure out what to do, because, the problem is, these are generally massive creatures that you have to dupe them into letting you crawl onto them, and then find their 1 to 3 essential weak spots and strike those. But getting to the weak spots is a challenge oftentimes as well, given the fact that you have finite grip, and the Colossus tends to try to shake you off, which gets rid of your grip faster and makes it so you can't do anything while they're shaking, and seems like they shake more vigorously and more continuously as you go on and on. So eventually it gets to the point where you have like a quarter of a second worth of time to actually prime your blade and then strike. Otherwise, he goes back into shaking mode, and you have to wait until he stops shaking to get your quarter-second window to prime your blade, then strike. So, generally, the game was so annoying that I could really only stomach fighting 2 to 3 of these Colossus mechs in a given sitting. And some of them were so obnoxious I had to take a break after one. That was just the nature of the game, I guess. And so that's actually how I got around to recording some more video here. I woke up on a Saturday morning with the ambitions to finally get myself done with Shadows of Colossus. So I did my 3, actually. That time was a 3, because it was a good first 2. I actually enjoyed those 2. Number 6 and 7, I think they were. I forget how bad 8 was, but it must have been enough to trigger my need for a break. Because 6 and 7 were so good, I was almost willing to discount them and start the counter on the 8th one. But the 8th one was pretty darn bad, if I remember correctly. I don't know which one it was. So, as a palate cleanser, I decided to boot up Terraria and record some Total Terraria World Annihilation. I was kind of hoping to have recorded an hour, but I ended up recording for 45 minutes, which then, after cutting the endpoints, because I start recording before loading up the world, and stop recording after quitting the world. And then I also fast forward through the extremely boring stuff like dealing with lava and putting stuff away in the chests. So it boiled down to a like 33 minute cohort. So that's why that Here's the Storm stuff got spliced in, because the final video of the cohort was gonna end so short. It was gonna be like 3 minutes long, and I didn't think I was gonna have enough time in Shadows of the Colossus to record some more. And that was true, because I'm now recording the voiceovers after I've beaten the game. Alright, that about does it for this video. I will see you next video.